Hello everyone, welcome back to Artisan Weekly. It's edition 77. That means it's Friday. It's been a great week. The community felt like it's really come alive this week. We've seen a new meetup announced, Laravel Wales. So, if you're a Laravel developer and you're in Wales, it's definitely worth going along and checking that one out. We had the second edition of Laravel Manchester, which, on all accounts sounded like it went really well. And looking forward to that third one. And we announced the next event for Laravel London. So obviously, if you're in London and you're looking to go out on an evening and watch a couple of good talks, go and grab yourself a ticket while you can. So first up this week, we've got a post here by Devon from the Laravel Cloud team. Now, so it's a question we've been asked a few times. Will cloud handle scale? Will my application break? Will the infrastructure work? So Devon here has gone through giving you an example using K6. And he set up an application. The first kind of iteration of that application doesn't do anything. It doesn't talk to a database or anything like that. But he wanted to test the infrastructure. So he throws, as it says there, 17,000 requests per second at it, and the infrastructure handles that. Auto-scale and everything works really nicely. And then further on in the article, then he does bring in a database. And he talks about like the changes he makes to that, like some of the config and things like that to improve the speed of the database, and then the impact that has on the request. So yeah, another good article. I've been thinking about using cloud. This one's worth looking at, and it kind of gives you some things to take away. Next up then, we've got Leah and Josh. So Josh has built a tool called Instruct, which allows you to put together UI feedback for your AI agents like Claude Code or Codex and things like that. It's a tool that you can kind of drag and highlight areas on your application and ask Claude to make changes like, I would like this button to be green, or I would like this this to be darker, and things like that. I'm sure I saw that Marcel had started to build something similar as well for Polyscope, which is a tool that we use as well. But yeah, if you've been wondering how to handle UI feedback with Claude, watch this video and give the package a go. Next up then, we've got all the videos from this year's PHP UK conference. If you didn't get to go, they're all here for you to watch, so that's quite good. There's some well-known people. You got Gary Hockin, you got Simon Hamp, Rob Allen, these people who give excellent talks, and here they are for you to kind of watch on YouTube. So yeah, if you've got some time and you want to learn something new, or you want to catch up on something, head over to this playlist and give those videos a watch. Next up, it's another video series on Laracasts. This one's all about the Laravel AI SDK. It's a package that we've used now a number of times for some applications that we're building. And Jeremy here goes through kind of how to use it, some of the things you can do with it, and it's a really good way to kind of, first of all, learn and understand how to use the package, but also learn a little bit more about AI and what it can do inside your applications. Next up then, we got Christoph, who talks about some of the new features in Laravel 13. Now this was a really easy upgrade for us from 12 to 13, and there's some new features in there. The new JSON API resource looks really great, and there's a new kind of AI helper to help you upgrade, so give that one a try, see what it does. But yeah, if you've not moved up to 13 yet, I would. I know some of the packages yet you might be using are not ready yet, but once they are, trust me, it's worth just upgrading and keep your applications up to date. Next up then, we got Ollie Reed with another post where he talks about how Laravel has had this command called composer run dev for a while now, but that uses Artisan serve. Now, you might not be using that. You might be using sail, for instance, as his example shows here. So he goes about showing you how to continue to use that command, but use it alongside with sail. So if you've been wondering how to do that, again, Ollie goes into some great detail, as he does with all his posts. So if you're using sail and you're wondering how you can use these commands, give this post a read. Next up then, we've got this little tool by Chris Morrell. Now, if you're a GitHub user and you use actions for your tests and things like that, you might have had you're googling what are my, what kind of PHP versions, what my matrix looks like, things like that. I've done it in the past, how to set up a matrix and what I should be covering for each version of Laravel. So Chris has just built a tool that makes it really simple for you. So, you can say like, I'm on a support 12 with 8.4, 8.3, like kind of things like that. And it will build that matrix for you. And then you can just grab that and check that into your GitHub action. So it saves you a lot of time. And next up then, we've got this tool called Liminal. Now it's basically Laravel in the browser. So you can preview, you can write code, you can do terminal stuff, you've got your AI agents, and you've got other tools. Now this is a really interesting one, and it was developed by Andrew here. Andrew, I forget this one name, Schmalin. Sorry if I got that wrong. And it's basically Laravel in the browser, write your code and preview it. It's pretty cool, like a really cool thing to do. And then next up, we've got a new series now by Harris. So Ship AI with Laravel. Again, using the new Laravel AI SDK, he's going to go through in this video series how to set it up and how to use it. Very much like the Laracast series, but obviously with Harris's take on everything. And if you've watched any of his other previous video series on Laravel News, you'll know how good they are. So it's worth looking out for these next episodes. And then finally, we've got Christoph again. This one's an interesting one. Again, kind of cloud related. You might get, you might be suggesting cloud to your clients, or you might be suggesting cloud to your business. And one question that you might be getting asked is, well, who's on cloud? Like, tell me any big companies that move to cloud, why they're on cloud, because, it's over a year old, but sometimes these big businesses don't like to talk about where they host their infrastructure and things like that. So Christoph goes through a couple of big businesses that have moved to cloud, the kind of savings they made, moving from bare metal to cloud, or moving from some other infrastructure to cloud, the savings, the time, all that kind of stuff, the interesting things that might help you sell cloud to your business or sell cloud to your development team is covered here. So it's really nice to see that. And there's some good businesses on there that are using it. They're doing lots of requests, lots of scale. If you've been worried about cloud not being able to do this kind of thing for you, there's two great videos in this top 10 that should hopefully relieve those fears. So that's it for this week. And like I said, I hope there was something you enjoyed there. And if there was, don't forget to reach out to the writers, the authors, and give them a big thanks for the work that they do, because obviously without them, we wouldn't have this. We've got a newsletter now over on Artisan Weekly. So if you've not signed up and you want to get these to your inbox every Friday, go ahead and do that, and then you can get these in your email. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Thanks very much.